is my 1987 Numatic NV200, which you have seen a fair few times before on this channel. His current status is he runs, but he is running with an imposter motor. I found this the other day in storage. This is his original motor. There we go, look, the D200 legendary motor indeed. And through the passage of time, I can't quite recall why that isn't in here. This has got the motor from Benchy, my old bench vac in it. So, figured we would chuck some new bearings into this motor, see if we can get it running very nicely and have this old boy back to his original lovely motor, which hopefully sounds original and lovely indeed. Let's have a look. Yes, hello, my vacuum cleaner chums. How are you today? This box has been kicking around for quite a while. Indeed, I took it apart a bit more just so I could double check what I needed to order. So these are the bearings I have bought. Do not go out and buy these right now at the time of watching this video. Oh, look, there's a piece of tape that says faulty on my rug. That's quite apt, isn't it? I think that could possibly go there. So yeah, we have new bearings. I then took apart a few bits already. So the carbons are already off. And hey, this might help. To get carbons off of this age pneumatic, you have to open up the crimp on either side just a little bit. There's the other one there. And it's those crimps that sit onto the coil wires there when the carbon brushes go into their bracket. That's probably easier for me to show you that like that than it is the other way around. Now I think I've got a working spare pair. I can't quite remember, and for right now I'm just going to put all of this aside and we'll worry about it later on in the video, because yeah, this is already pretty much hand tight and ready to come apart from when I figured out what size bearings I need. So I just undo these two nuts, which are finger tight. We should be able to lift the top off. Then this bit just lifts off. That is where this wobble washer comes from. It sits in there and just provides a bit of tension onto the top of this bearing so that nothing bounces around, and we can then lift the coil out. And yeah, that's what I did. I cleaned up this bearing and got the little number which is printed in the cap. I don't think I'll be able to show you it very well, but yeah, there is a number in the cap. However, that only really gives us access to the top part of this motor. What I'm then going to do is get a flat blade screwdriver and a hammer. Yeah, it's not just going to pull apart. We had been in here before. I wonder if we did change the bearings. No, I didn't do a very good job. But either way, screwdriver and a hammer. And we just need to tap off this fan case bearing all the way around. Just gentle tap, move it around, tap, move it around, and yeah, eventually this bit will fall off. And then eventually the fan case will come off the motor. We can then quite easily hold the armature very easily in one hand, so very easily, very safely, put our, what is this? This is an 18mm, and then reverse threaded undo the armature nut. There it goes. So, a very specific order for this. We have a nut, we have a washer and a fan. We then have another nut, we have, well now our armature will come out, but we then also got a load of stuff inside of here. And that is where we now need to tap around again. This time it's not quite as easy, because you have to hold it and then bash it off of this little ring here. This isn't quite as fun. You can sometimes lever it as well, but you've got to be quite careful to not damage anything. Levering is working better in our case. You just got to tap the damage back together afterwards. But yes, eventually this thing comes off. A thinner screwdriver to get in without having to create such a big hole is what I'm doing now. So there we go. Right, then we've got to keep everything in order at least, because it's now all fallen apart. How lovely. So there is another washer there. All of this bit is together. Oh no, I stuck that on the sticker. Didn't want to do that. It won't be faulty anymore. So washer, fan case. Then we have this spacer bar. Then we have the other fan. Yeah, these are quite, no, they're not very clean. Ooh, maybe I haven't been in here. How interesting. Well, we'll definitely give these a clean before they go back together then. Yeah, they're filthy. I wonder why this happened then. Maybe that's what we didn't do. Maybe we should have done that all along. Right, fantastic. Now, there are two crosshead screws, which I'm going to undo with a flat blade screwdriver. All the incorrect things here. And actually, we probably don't need to go any further at all because our bearings are on the machine. But for the interest of making this a resource for a complete video, that bit comes off of there, and then yeah, you can wash everything and clean it nice. So didn't have to do that. That can go aside. We have this little spacer here on the end of our army armature, and there we go. Yeah, I think we just greased up the original knackered bearings, which sometimes does work, but in this case obviously hasn't. Now, before we go doing things that are going to be a pain and knacker the bearings, let's just triple check that, yeah, that will fit on there. This is the problem now. We have to hit this a lot, and that is a bit of a sucky time. But they are the correct size bearings. They are the same size, so we can go ahead and pull these off. Then, there we go, we want to put the nut back on because these threads on this armature are very soft, and if we screw those up, that is game over. And well, you don't see this video and I don't change the motor and we pretend this never happened. But hopefully what we can do is do this the right way. There we go. Pull the bearing up off of the armature. It's going to be a very slow job, and this is why we've got to be very careful tapping it back on. But yeah, eventually this will come up and off. Then all I did was take this outside, drill a big hole in a stout piece of wood, and effectively hammer the bearing in underneath some other washers. So that is our new bearing on this end of the armature. This end is more of a pain, and it's not because of the bearing, it is because of the fan nut, the thread specifically. You will see that I'm putting a load of just random washers onto this thing, and that is because if I finish it off with the main one and then find this nut, we've got to hit this quite significantly on the nut, and I'm hoping that if I can do this, it will stop the nut from pushing down the threads, because all of the pressure is just going straight down through these washers. So now I can very carefully, because this top bearing is always a pain to get started, get this one cracked off. But I might need, this is why I have two of these bearing removal tools, because one is a lot thinner to get into these top bearings than the other. Yeah, so I get this off, and then effectively it's going to be the same effect. I've got to hit this on its nut to get the new bearing on, and then with the back bearing on, we can begin the fun task of figuring out which of these many sockets is the size for this flipping nut. Oh my goodness, too many on the go. And then take this off and hope that I haven't just bent the armature catastrophically badly, which could have been what the problem was on this machine anyway, but we won't know. We need that washer. We don't need those. We do need that. We won't know until it's all back together, but that seems fine. What I'm going to do now is pop off these caps. Look, these are brand new bearings. I was going to add a bit more grease to it. I think I shall. We are here. We are this far. I'm going to add some grease to it. I'm going to put the whole motor back together and we'll see if it works. And a ton more gunk came out of them. I obviously didn't do them last time, so crikey knows why we were in there before. But now you see that we are cooking them on my filthy hob to evaporate all the water. Then we can nail it all back together. Once we're at this stage with the fan case on, but you still can't really turn anything because it needs the top bearing, take the time to make sure that your coil wires are ready to go. In essence, they're sat. Ideally, your posts aren't snapped, so you get 2 tabs rather than just 1. But just setting them up like that now, whilst you can see everything, oh, I'm going to take it all apart, I forgot a washer, will help you greatly. I think I know where it went. Then we can get it all back together and get the coil on. And after a little while, we have a motor. You will note that I have put a load of solder on and around so it seeped through. That's pretty much just to try and hold the carbon wires onto these terminals, because yeah, the crimps, you do have to take your time de-crimping it, but it spins really nicely. I think there's only really one thing left to do, and that is to take our NV200, we'll unplug it because of course we modified it. Then I wish to remove the Hoover Turbo Power fluted screw, which looks lovely on this top part here. Oh, there it is. And not break this now because, oh, we've done enough. Oh, poo. That was silly. Well, I've hot glued this down. We can reach one screw. Again, the Hoover Turbo Power screw. Can we reach? Yes, we can reach the other screw. Okay, fine. And then, oh, poo. There we go. Yeah. Hot glue does the job a treat. Oh. Click, click. Oh, how's your bag doing? Are you full of horrible dirt? Oh, you are a bit dirty. But fine enough for now. I had to find something to do with it. If this motor replacement works, I mean, I don't know really. We shall find out together. This was worth it or not. Right, you go off there. You can come off, and that comes off there. Then we have these 3 screws here. Oh my god, I hope all of the rubbers are still here, or if not, I can very quickly sort that out and finish this video off tonight. Oh, right. So here is 1 and 2. This whole plate should just lift off. It's now going to get caught on this different motor. Yeah, this is motor bodging works on pneumatics, but you've got to fiddle it through. Oh, how did I get this on in the first place? Let me fight this out of here. It obviously went in. There we go. I took one of the carbon brushes off, and wow, good job I did, because that is it, folks. That is the end of the carbon. So yeah, this is Bench's old motor, and it probably needs or wants new bearings as well. He might get them one day, but I don't know. Problem is, it's, you know, you can get a nice pattern 1000-watt motor nowadays for not an awful lot of money, and 8 times out of 10, that's going to be the best way to go. Oh no! There's the screw. There's the screw. Yeah, I think, I don't know really. It might be the end of the road for this motor unless I find something reasonably quickly to put it in. I'll keep it about, but for now, I'm almost looking forward to putting the original motor back into this machine. Really hope it runs nicely after doing all of this effort and spending the money. Right, they need to be clocked, the little tabs on there to fit into, I think, these notches here. So, if you did this often enough, you would figure out how to do it blindfolded without looking. But it's been a little while since I've done this, so I'd imagine that goes there. But it doesn't. That goes like that, so that the carbon brushes fit through. Then I think it's... Oh, no, you stay there. That probably is right. This can come in. I need to plug the live in, but the terminals are a bit dodgy, so I want to do that last. And hopefully... Yeah, there we pretty much go. Yeah, that's it. Done. That whole thing clamps down. So we can now do up this screw, this screw and the other screw, pop everything back together, and we'll see if this runs. And that should be enough for us to test that he works. You can put all of the rest of it back together, assuming it's good. So we shall plug the cable in, plug the machine in, and see what happens. Oh, nothing happens. Goody, goody. Means I'll probably knock it up one of the carbon brush coil connectors. So let me go sort that out. We'll try again. Are we going to be second time lucky? Well, it's been a couple of days since that last scene, and unfortunately this continues to be stone cold dead. Since the last scene of failure, I've tested everything, taken the coil out, flipped it 180 degrees, put it back in and rewired everything. I have continuity from the pins of the plug all the way through all of this and then into the relevant ends of the carbon brushes for the live and the neutral. I get continuity across the coil, completely and utterly dead, which is a shame because these new bearings feel good just by hand. So bother. If you have any ideas how I might have killed that, do let me know. So our attention then turns to what the heck do we do with this machine? We took this motor out, and as you can remember, it's a bit grumbly and the carbon brushes aren't great. What could we try and fit to it next? Well, I had an idea. I was in the shed finding something else, and nothing sucks like an Electrolux. And I have this spare motor, not too rusty, does spin very nicely. I'm not going to be able to show you particularly well, but it is very clean and tidy inside, and doesn't have a suppressor fitted. Never did have, and most certainly never will have. And therefore, it's the perfect size to fit into there. We perhaps might need to employ some mild violence. Oh no, we won't even need to do that. Excellent. Nearly forgot this seal, which I think should sit rather nicely there. Hang on, other wire's going to reach around the back of this. We may need to actually fit this way so that the terminals face me and then the wiring block. Then I don't think we'll have any problem at all. Yeah, this all fits perfectly. I hope this motor works. You drop on there. You drop on there. Why aren't you just dropping on? Oh yeah, we've got it. I've got to get it, oh my goodness, around all of this. Let me get it fitted, and then once it's through this, it should clamp down nicely, because it is pretty much the same height as the original. And with only a couple of minor modifications, I've had to cut out just a little sliver of each corner so that this mid-frame sits down onto the motor, and it's got the original Electrolux fan case seal inside of the Numatic one. So how exciting is that? I think we could actually turn it on like this. Look, it's Henry Dangerous. Henry Dangerous is back, everybody. Let me find, hang on. Oh, that's suboptimal. So let me find where the cable is. I remember I plonked it in here. So there we go. Put that on there, put this on there. I'm fairly sure the switch is on. So, see if we've actually put a decent motor in it. No cable, don't tangle up. Or not. Suboptimal. one step forward, 2 steps back. I mean, it's got a bit of a grindy noise. We should probably, since we've already stripped down one motor unnecessarily and killed it, we should probably have a go at doing the same to this one. Though this one shouldn't be as tricky. We might even be able to leave it inside this machine. In fact, this is the perfect workstation. I am unplugged. I'm paranoid. Let's turn that off. And yeah, what we need to do is effectively loosen up the edges of the carbon brush holder and then pull back. You're not going to be able to fully remove, just pull back the carbons. Then, with these poking out, we can, in theory, take a screwdriver and pull back both of the clamps that hold the motor unit on. And then this top bit will come off and, oh, there is a bearing in there. That's usually, I think that is a sleeve bearing deep under there, but we'll give that a clean up anyway. Oh, nice clean carbon brushes. Come back out of the way. There we go. So yeah, clean up in that bearing, and then we can take the coil off. You can't really go. In fact, look, you can see my bodging a little bit better now. Yeah, so just cut the corners out for the motor, and yeah, we're going to be able to drip a ton of oil into there, but not a lot else. So let's do all that now. I'll get all of this nicely cleaned up, oiled up, greased up, and then we'll put it back together and see if it's any happier then. But it runs well enough anyway for me to carry on regardless. I should have filmed that. It's just come loose again. It's always going to sound a bit grim, I think, but you can put the bodging oil into it, and this bodging oil soaks right down and just shuts it up really. We'll put a load in here, although this is a sleeved bearing and not really a moving bearing, but it will do the job. And then yeah, we can hopefully actually successfully perk up and rebuild and clean the motor this time, rather than the awful bodge job we did before. Let's just pull these contacts up a little bit, wipe down where they connect to the machine like so, getting my hands filthy in the process. And yeah, we can then put it back, and we'll not be able to spin it too loudly at the minute because it needs to go back together. So we put it back. What we need to do is bend this one back a little bit, and yeah, you keep them out like that. They should bend themselves. And then you can put the bottom in, you can put the top on, and then you just push them flat. Do one side, come round here to the other, bottom in first, push the top on, and then yeah, when they're pushed flat, and again you can give them a nice little tap, I'll just clamp both halves of the motor together. Fantastic. Right, I think I'm going to crack on now, get the carbons back in, get it all back together, get this all screwed back up so it's not quite so deadly, and see if we've actually made something decent. We can test it as well versus this motor. If only, eh? If only it was that simple. I'm afraid we're on to our second motor fail of the video, but it's not the motor's fault, it's, well, my fault. It's not even the Numatic's fault. Unless we punch a big hole in here, that ain't gonna fit. It is too tall. This bit here is sadly just in the way. So, before we rip it off and have a go at attempt number 3 on this video, would be rude not to airflow test and see what this machine perhaps could achieve if the lid fitted. Being very careful now because there are lots of live exposed things. Let's see what this could have done. Miles an hour and 65 odd of water lift. That wouldn't have been bad, but sadly not for us today. Oh my goodness, will this ever be done? I'm not sure. Not today. So it's off with this. At least I know this motor now runs. one good thing out of all of this. So if anybody needs a nice Lux motor, I do have one. Leave that in the house rather than putting it in the shed. So let's take all of this out then, and I told you I put both the fan cases rubbers in because you had to, and try last gasp attempt for this video. This is, I don't even know, it's a Miele motor, I think, and again I've had this for absolutely ages, but it sits in there. I need to get rid of all of this wiring because we don't actually need any of it, and I think this suppressor's blown. Let's take this off and this PCB because we don't need to worry about things like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that suppressor started to poo itself out of the bottom of it. Very nice indeed. We'll keep that, we'll keep this off of the thermal cutout. I think that's all we need because this is all the speed control stuff, which we don't have because we don't have that stuff on the machine. And we should probably, I think we need to take this off as well. If I undo these top screws, I should be able to take off this random style of rubber and fan case seal, and yeah, we'll see if I get any further with smashing this one together, or if it's just going to be another failure and we've ruined everything. Right, so that comes off. Yeah, that lifts off there, which is actually good / bad because that's where our thermal cutout was, but I guess we don't need you anymore. Ah, there we go. Oh, there's a thing for TNR. Right. Now, before we even begin to do anything with this, right. No, it's still touching though. Oh goodness. How much is that going to affect the vibrationing of this machine, I wonder? Well, there is only one way to find out. I'm not even going to bother doing the bearings on this one. I don't think I care, and in fact, I can sort of at least get to the top one here. So there we go. That can soak in, come back if this is a goer or not. Oh dear, all we have managed to achieve in this video is waste some time and end up with the original motor back in the machine. And there wasn't really anything wrong with that original motor. It's a little bit whiny, a little bit rumbly. Those carbon brushes don't have an awful lot of life left on them, but it works. I mean, that's too tall. That's too tall. I did think about DC08 motor modding it with this rubbish one, but that's then too short. What a pickle. Ideally what I'd like is to get an original motor back in. So I put it back in the box where it's sat for all these times. If you have a D2 1400N DAF motor spare, hit me up. I'd like to have the original motor back in this, just for that nice original sound. I mean, this sounds better than it would have done with a DC08 motor in it, but it would be nice to have that sound. I must have done something to the coil or the armature on this motor putting the bearings in, which is remarkably frustrating. If I ever need those bearings, I now have to rip this apart. So yeah, if you've got a whole spare motor and I can try again or just leave it alone, or if you've got a spares motor, if you've got one of these with a completely trashed fan but a decent armature and coil, again we could make some spares with that. But for now, my 1987 NV200 shall stay as it was when we started this video, with absolutely no difference at all. Never mind. We tried, and hopefully you have enjoyed seeing me rip this apart 75 times and try different motors. What a shame that Electrolux motor didn't fit. That would have been really good, but yeah, the way that it tapers up, if you could almost chop that down, you might be okay, but of course I don't think you could just chop that down. You would have a bad time. Hey ho, no Electrolux powered pneumatics today. We shall remain with a Benchy powered pneumatic, and thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed, and I and this will see you soon. Bye bye.